Well, thank you very much. So we started like 8 years. We wanted to bridge the gap between science and decision making. So our goal was to improve the decision making processes by creating user interfaces between numbers and people, which is something that is very challenging. So how many of you work with Excel on your daily day? So most of you are working with Excel, some of you for very basic stuff, others for very complex stuff. So we wanted to do the same, but with data, with huge amount of data. So among other things, we discovered 3 planets using crowdsourcing with NASA as well, outside the solar system, which is very, very far away. We recreated the climate, the weather of 100 years ago. And after 5 years doing consultancy for other people, helping them to improve their decision-making processes, we decided to do our own technology, which is called CartoDB. So CartoDB is a location platform intelligence, basically lets you to understand your location data, where things are happening. Everything happens somewhere, as you know. So, and you can extract your insights, so you can understand better your market and you can take better decisions. So we collaborate with banks, a lot of banks. Most of our clients are outside Spain. We have like 7% of our clients in the country. So the headquarters of the company is in New York now. We are 65 people, and our clients are Twitter, Google, BBVA here in Spain, Bankinter, I'm calling you. So we are entrepreneurs. This is innovation and sales as well. So and a lot of banks in the United States, NGOs, universities as MIT, Stanford, Harvard, NYU. So we are, as part of our startup culture, we have to grow very fast. And our relationship with big corporations could be like 1,000 times better. So I would say that the biggest friction that we find with working with big organizations is the speed that we move. That is, I mean, they cannot follow us. So it's like this myth of the elephant following the ant. So it's completely true. So that's one of them. And the other one is that we don't understand the structure of the organization. So the internal friction sometimes is so big that startups gets like punished. You know, as soon as you enter to the organization, you get like, hey, stop. I'm not the correct person. So you start talking to everybody else. Yeah, I wanted to make it very clear. If you have questions, I guess we are going to discuss now. And if not, we will have a beer after, I think. This is Madrid, right? Yeah.
Can you say do you have any generalization about the difference between trying to have a conversation with a company like Twitter, an information age company, a digital native company, versus, let's say, a BBVA?
Well, BBVA is actually pretty good. I mean, we talk always very good about our clients. But BBVA is actually pretty good because they have a very big part of the company focusing on data right now. So I think the difference is big. So you can feel that people is understanding you when you are talking, and in part it's our fault as well. So I think as part of the startup culture, we tend to think that other people can understand that, while it's not true. But I think the biggest change is the way they try to overcome the challenges. So using technology. So technology is another layer on your service, on your platform. So and they have it pretty clear. They know that technology is another tool, while in big organization, technology is a very big department with a very big budget. So it's that kind of change of paradigm. It's like they understand that technology is another tool for facing all the problems. So for example, we are helping banks to do better risk assessment, to understand economic impact of different events. For example, in different cities, like the one that we did with the BBVA on the Mobile World Congress event 2012. So you can actually do a lot of things without a lot of effort, just by doing others to innovate for you. So I think it's the difference is not so big. It's very different. It's very big when people think that technology is just another department. When they think that there's the geeks working on the dark room, and they don't understand the value that the technology can provide for facing that. And also the other difference is that in Twitter, Google, and those corporations, the technologists are closer to the business. So this is not about technology and business, technology and sales. It's technology and sales are working all together in the same room and with the same objectives, which is something that is I think very, very different as well.
So did I understand BBVA has a separate organization that's not so much about supporting the traditional business, it is a technology business?
Well, I guess they have a pretty complex organization, but what they have is they have a data analytics part now, where they are innovating a lot on how they use data for improving our internal tools, and also they are providing services for others as well.
Yeah. So this is a parallel with how Procter & Gamble did Connect and Develop. That is, they set up an organization to be the interface with technology. This wasn't information technology, it was depended on which brand needed which technology. But they focused, they recognized this challenge that startups can run out of runway while they're trying to figure out who to talk to in your organization, and assigned that interface to a group for that purpose. Sergio, you had a comment?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Sergio. And
Pretty good name.
yeah, thanks. I'm proud of it. Yeah. Well, as Alf said, there are many ways of opening your innovation to others. You can hire platforms, you can collaborate, you can do joint ventures, acquisitions. There are many different ways. One of the ones we like the most are startups, and that's why we invited two of you to show how you collaborate with big companies. But I wanted, something we always talk about is how innovation is evolving in the big corporations, and even though we're trying to do better, we're still far from getting your speed. Why are you able to innovate so fast?
I think it was because we have a lot of constraints. At the end of the day, I think one of the most powerful tools for innovation is the constraints itself. So they oblige you to think out of the box continuously. So no matter how much money you raise, you will have the same constraint that you have. So we just raised 23 million from Axel, which is a top-tier venture capital firm, and we are even worse now, with more constraints, because we need to grow faster, and we have the same problems that we had before. So startups, we have a lot of problems. The thing is that we can hide them very well. So we have a lot of problems. We cannot scale. We need to figure out how to fix things that big corporations have already fixed on the past. But based on the fact that we have a pretty limited set of resources, we need to move very fast. So imagine you have a tiger behind you. So what do you do? You run. That is the same thing. I think it's because we feel that we need to actuate on defensibility. We need to go very fast so we can position ourselves as the leading company on a particular market, on a particular niche. And also, I think it's because the culture of the company. It's easier to have a pretty strong company culture when you are 65 people like we are now than when you are like a few thousands of people.
Maybe a last, and anyone else have questions for Sergio? Let me ask you one last one, and you don't have to name any names here, but do you perceive it any different to market in Spain from in other markets?
Oh yeah. So, look, this is a very easy example. We are an open source platform. So all the code, 90% of the code that we produce is open source. 6 months after we launched the first version of the software, we were being used by the Wall Street Journal on the presidential elections, during the presidential elections on the United States. The most important night on the United States on data. It's like the Olympic Games of data visualization. In Spain, the biggest media outlets are starting to use it now, 3 years later. So I think that reflects pretty good how close the big organizations feel to the startups in other countries compared to, I wouldn't say Spain, it's Europe itself. It's a cultural thing that is bigger than just Spain. So I think is that while in the United States, startups are a very powerful tool for innovation, in Spain are still like a dangerous thing. It's like, oh, these new kids on the block are doing something pretty cool. So I would love, you can feel it. I feel that things are changing, and honestly, I think so.
Yeah.
But it's taking time. I think it's a matter of time.
Yeah. Well, as I said, my personal observation is that the United States has made quite a